Most people choose their first dog the exact same way they choose a Netflix show, based on what looks good in the thumbnail. They see a breed on Instagram, or a friend has one, or they watched a movie as a kid, and that's it, decision made. And then 6 months later, they're exhausted, overwhelmed, and quietly Googling how to rehome a dog at midnight. I've seen it happen more times than I can count, not because those people were bad owners, but because nobody helped them match their actual lifestyle to the right animal. A breed isn't just a look. It's a set of drives, needs, and wiring that was locked in over decades of selective breeding. And some of that wiring is genuinely difficult to work with if you've never owned a dog before. So today, we're fixing that. By the end of this video, you'll know the 5 breeds that experienced trainers and behaviorists consistently recommend to first-time owners, and more importantly, why. Not because they're the cutest or the most popular, because the traits that actually make a dog manageable for a beginner are very different from what most people think. Stay to the end because the #1 pick surprises almost everyone. Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. If you want a dog that essentially came pre-programmed to adore humans and ask for very little in return, the Cavalier is your answer. These dogs were bred for centuries to sit on laps in royal courts, not to hunt, not to herd, not to guard, just to be present with a person. That history shows up in everything they do. Cavaliers are gentle, quiet, and remarkably easy to read emotionally. They don't have a complicated agenda. What you see is what you get. First-time owners love that. It feels like the dog is working with you from day one instead of testing you. Trainability is solid. They're not going to learn 40 commands in a week, but they respond warmly to positive reinforcement, and they genuinely want to please. A client of mine, a single woman in her 30s who'd never owned a dog, got a Cavalier and called me 2 months in. Her exact words, "This doesn't feel like having a dog. It feels like having a really small, very devoted roommate." The challenge is health. Cavaliers carry a heavy genetic burden. Mitral valve disease affects the majority of the breed by age 10, and syringomelia is a serious neurological condition linked to their skull structure. Vet costs can be significant. If you go this route, pet insurance from day one is non-negotiable, and finding a reputable breeder who health tests their lines is everything. Best match? Apartment dwellers, quieter lifestyles, people who want emotional closeness without high physical demands. Next up, a breed that looks intimidating to some people but is one of the most naturally balanced dogs I've ever worked with. It's been popular for decades and for good reason. Labrador Retriever. The Lab has been the most popular dog in America for over 30 years, and that's not an accident. There's a reason service dog organizations and guide dog programs default to this breed above almost all others. Labs have an unusually stable temperament, low reactivity, and a willingness to engage with humans that makes training feel almost natural. Personality-wise, think of a lab as a golden retriever with slightly more focus and slightly less drama. They're social, enthusiastic, and genuinely forgiving of beginner mistakes. You can be inconsistent with a lab for a week, get back on track, and they don't hold it against you. That kind of emotional flexibility is underrated when you're learning. Exercise needs are real, though. This is not a couch dog, especially under 3 years old. A lab that doesn't get enough physical and mental stimulation will find creative outlets, and those outlets usually involve your furniture. 2 solid exercise sessions a day, some fetch, some training, that's the baseline. Watch for weight gain. Labs are famously food motivated, which makes training easy, but it also means they'll eat until they're sick if you let them. Research from Cambridge found a gene variant common in labs that affects how they register feeling full. Portion control matters with this breed more than most. #3 is a breed that most people underestimate completely because the reputation it carries has almost nothing to do with the actual dog. Greyhound. Here's the one that raises eyebrows every time I say it. A racing dog, one of the fastest animals on Earth, on a list for first-time owners. But hear me out, because the Greyhound is genuinely one of the most misunderstood breeds in the world. These dogs are sprinters, not marathon runners. Off the track, a Greyhound's natural state is horizontal. They sleep up to 18 hours a day. They don't need 2 hours of exercise. A 20-minute walk and a couple of short off-leash sprints in a safe area is enough to fully satisfy them. People call them the 40-mile-per-hour couch potato, and it's one of the most accurate descriptions in dog ownership. Temperament is calm, gentle, and surprisingly low maintenance emotionally. They're not clingy, they're not demanding, and they're rarely destructive if their basic needs are met. Aggression towards humans is extremely rare in the breed. Many retired racing greyhounds are placed directly into family homes through adoption organizations with minimal transition issues. The misconception I fight constantly is that they need massive space or a huge yard. They don't. Apartment greyhound owners consistently report this is one of the quietest, easiest dogs they've ever had. The real consideration is a secure leash in fenced areas. Their prey drive is high and they're fast enough that a mistake is serious. Also, they're sensitive to cold due to low body fat, so a coat in winter is practical, not just fashion. Number 2 is a breed that experienced trainers recommend constantly, but most beginners walk right past it at the shelter without a second look. Poodle, standard or miniature. Poodles are ranked second in canine intelligence by Stanley Korn's research, behind only the Border Collie. But unlike the Border Collie, which is essentially a working machine that will dismantle your mental health if you can't match its needs, the poodle's intelligence is paired with emotional adaptability. They can dial up or down to match your energy. That's rare. Trainability is exceptional. Poodles pick up commands quickly, retain them well, and seem to genuinely enjoy the learning process. I've had clients who came in convinced they were bad at training dogs. They'd failed with previous breeds, and within 4 weeks with the poodle, they were nailing complex sequences. It wasn't them, it was the mismatch before. They fit almost any lifestyle. Standard poodles are athletic and love outdoor activity. Miniatures work beautifully in apartments. Both are low shedding, which is a genuine quality of life difference for a lot of owners. They're also long-lived for a larger breed. 12 to 15 years is typical, which means a real long-term relationship. The one honest challenge? Grooming. The poodle coat needs professional grooming every 6 to 8 weeks without exception. Skip it and the coat mats badly and causes skin issues. Budget $60 to $120 per appointment depending on size and location. It's predictable and manageable, just not free. And number 1, this is the breed I've recommended to more first-time owners than any other, and almost every single time they come back and say the same thing. You'll see why. Bichon Frise. I know, you weren't expecting that. Nobody ever does. The Bichon Frise is not flashy. It doesn't have the cultural mythology of a golden or the athleticism of a lab. But when I look at the full picture, temperament, trainability, adaptability, energy level, health, lifespan, and forgiveness of beginner mistakes, nothing scores as consistently high across the board for a first-time owner. These dogs were bred to be companions, full stop. Not to work, not to guard, not to chase anything. To be with a human and make that human feel good. And they're extraordinarily good at it. The temperament is stable, joyful, and almost universally gentle. The American Kennel Club and multiple breed behavior surveys rank them among the lowest in aggression, anxiety reactivity, and destructive tendencies when given basic care. Training is genuinely enjoyable with a Bichon. They're smart enough to learn quickly but not so independent that they challenge you. Positive reinforcement clicks with them immediately. I had a client, a retired teacher, first dog ever at age 62, who had her Bichon responding to a dozen commands within 2 months. She told me, I didn't know it was supposed to feel this easy. They adapt to almost any living situation. Small apartment in the city? Fine. House with a yard in the suburbs? Also fine. They need moderate exercise. 2 20-minute walks a day is genuinely enough. They're low shedding, which is a bonus, and they're social without being overwhelming. They love people but don't fall apart when left alone for reasonable periods, which puts them ahead of many companion breeds on separation anxiety. Why do owners stay loyal? Because the Bichon gives you all the emotional warmth of a deeply bonded dog without constantly demanding more than you can give. That balance, connection without pressure, is what makes the difference between a dog that fits your life and one that takes it over.